Hi everyone, so in this video I'll teach you about something known as the discriminant. So discriminant. And it's basically an expression that tells you about the roots of quadratic equation. So roots just means solutions, by the way. And it looks something like this. So b squared minus 4ac. And you might recognize this from the quadratic formula. So I'll just write that down. So minus b plus or minus root b squared minus 4ac. There it is, over 2a. And that's actually where the discriminant comes from. So it's actually derived from the quadratic formula. So if you're doing National 5 maths, you don't actually need to memorize this, even though it is quite easy to memorize, because you do get the quadratic formula in the exam. So you can just literally derive it from there. And there's basically three cases you can have with the discriminant. So it might be less than 0, it might be equal to 0, or it might be more than 0. And you need to remember what each of these tell you about the roots of the quadratic. So the first one would tell you that there's no real roots to the quadratic, and that just means it doesn't have any solutions. The second one means that it would have two equal real roots, or you can just say equal real roots. And the third one means that it has two distinct real roots. So the real roots would be different, and it would have two different roots. So two distinct real roots. And all of the words are important for each of these, by the way. So I would just advise you to memorize them as they're given, because sometimes I've seen that if you don't write real, for example, you might not get full marks for the question. So I would just advise you to memorize these word for word. Okay, so let's do a few questions on the discriminant. Determine the nature of the roots of the function f of x equals 7x squared plus 5x minus 1. So we start by calculating the discriminant. So that would be 5 squared minus 4 times 7 times minus 1. And that becomes 25 plus 28. And that's obviously positive. So that means it has two distinct real roots. And you can actually work those out using the quadratic formula. Determine the nature of the roots of the function f of x equals 2x squared plus 4x plus 5. So the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac, so that would be 4 squared minus 4 times 2 times 5. So that would be 40, and that's obviously less than 0 this time. So that means it has no real roots. Determine the nature of the roots of the function f of x equals 4x squared plus 6x minus 1. So again, the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac, so 6 squared minus 4 times 4 times minus 1. So that would be 36 plus 16, which is positive. And that means there's two distinct real roots.